Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Happy Monday to you. Last couple days of 2019. We're about to move into 2020. We've got some exciting news to talk about today with Uber. We've got a $3.1 billion acquisition. We're going to talk about that today. I'm going to show you why I think Uber is going to be a hot stock moving in 2020. I nibbled Uber 3 different times today. I'm going to show you all those transactions on the charts. I'm going to show you technically what I like about the chart patterns and what it looks like and why I think the $30 level for Uber is key. So with that, let's jump into it. All right, Egyptian regulators have finally approved Uber's $3.1 billion acquisition of their regional rival Careem after agreeing to a set of commitments that were proposed that Uber needs to follow in order to reduce harm to its competitors in the area. Now, this deal is expected to close in January, depending on regulator approval in various territories. Getting approval in Egypt is absolutely critical for Uber due to its population swelling to 100 million people and becoming the biggest in the Middle East for ride-hailing services. Now, Careem's going to be wholly owned by Uber, but it's going to continue to operate as an independent brand with independent management. And as part of this acquisition, Uber has made some commitments to the Egyptian Competition Authority, which is also known as the ECA. They've agreed to abandon exclusivity provisions with partners and intermediaries and reduce barriers to entry into the market. As part of this, Uber will appoint an independent monitoring trustee, that's a mouthful, which will be approved by the ECA in order to ensure adherence to these commitments. Uber will also share random samples of trip data with this trustee on a monthly basis in order just to ensure their compliance with all of their commitments. Now, from the deal's transaction date, the terms and conditions must be followed for a total of 5 years or until additional ride-hailing competitors achieve 20% of weekly rides individually. Another interesting thing is that Uber has agreed to cap its yearly fare increases beyond inflationary costs at 10% for UberX and Careem Go, which are the most popular services in Egypt. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Uber or UberX, or you've been living under a rock, I'm just kidding. UberX is the most popular private car service that Uber has to offer. It's also known as the low-cost option. And the final commitment that Uber is making came in the form of surge pricing limits. This could be interesting to a lot of you because if you hate surge limits like kind of most of us do, this could be interesting. Uber will cap their surge pricing, and surge pricing is just when demand far exceeds supply. They're going to go ahead and cap it at 2.5 times, and this can only be applied to a maximum of 30% of annual trips between the two services. So they're going to have to really tighten up on their surge pricing. And the two services I'm referring to are both UberX and Careem Go. Now, with Careem being their biggest rival in the Middle East, this is huge news because this means Uber has captured market share in the Middle East, gobbled up Careem, but allowing it to operate independently is very interesting because now Careem has proven itself as successful and now Uber's just plugged in and pulling revenue from it. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Uber's overall earnings are the next time they report, which is on March 2nd of 2020. So now what do you say we transition over to the charts, and I'm going to show you some technical levels as well as some other things that I like about Uber right now. I'm also going to throw up some statistics and some clips from their most recent earnings report, and I just want to give you kind of a general idea of why I'm liking Uber right now, and again, why $30 is significant to me and where I think we're going in the future. So let's jump into the charts real quick. All right, I've got Uber's chart up on the daily time frame, and I'm going to zoom all the way out, which we are right now. I've got time frame for max available. So this is where we are with Uber. You can see all of its price action, daily chart. You can see where we're up at the highs of 47, then descended way back down here, got down to lows of 25.5, and then we've kind of been bouncing around. And I want to just show you real quick technically on the chart what I like about this chart pattern. I like that we had a low with another low that was equal, kind of two bounces. Then we came up here and we set actually a lower high because here's our high. So a high, a lower high,
Then as we dipped, this was technically our next higher low. And then we broke out here above this level, so we got a higher high. So what I like about this, and I'll go ahead and draw circles around it, I like that we got a higher low, and then we've put in a slightly higher high. So this just shows a trend change, in my opinion, when you start getting higher highs and higher lows. And I think most of the market views it that way, people who trade technically. So when they see that, they start to think, okay, I'm going to be bullish now. We can now go long. So today I was watching this, and you can see this purple line on here. That's the $30 level. And the reason I like that so much is I've been reading a lot of articles, watching a lot of content, and there's been repeated mention of, Uber's at 30. Is Uber under 30? Is Uber over 30? Will it ever go back to 30 again? We got this big drop, and then it came right back to 30, dipped, and now we're right back, sort of pressing above it. And then today, with the market sell-off, we kind of dipped back below. So 30 just seems like a number that people have been talking about and trading off of. So I put a line on my chart just so I'm aware of where that is. And then what I went ahead and did today was, in 2 separate accounts, I took some purchases on Uber. And I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to turn on my trades, and I'm just going to show you exactly what I did here. So when Uber dipped this morning, and I'll zoom in a little bit more, I went ahead and bought 100 shares at $29.85. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold right there for the day and see what happens tomorrow. But my plan with this position, I like to nibble to get entries. I like to add a little bit of share size each time I get a dip so that I don't get too large too soon in any position. I have a video that I shot a while back about Facebook. You could check that video out. That one is really good. Shows where I've nibbled on the way up and how I kind of protected myself in case there was a sudden dip. Now, if Uber dips tomorrow and we go lower, I'll wait for it to kind of bottom, and then I'm going to add to my size. My plan is to possibly add on 5 different occasions, 100 share lots for 5 ads if I need them. And I just want to start to see Uber continue this trend back to the upside, and I'll just sit tight and continue to buy the extreme or over-exaggerated dips to the downside, even as we move higher. So this was one of my accounts. I bought 100 shares, and then I'll flip over to another one of my accounts, and you can't really see it in here. There are 2 orders, 2 25 share lots. I went ahead and bought once at $29.85 and then again at $29.70. So you can see my cost basis on that right now is $29.77. So my opinion moving forward with Uber is that we're going to see $30, just under $30 here for a while. And then I think Uber is going to start moving back to the upside. And we might not see $30 again. I don't know. It's just my gut feeling. And again, just take this with a grain of salt. I'm not telling you to trade Uber. I'm just showing you what I'm doing and what my logic is around it. But I really like this higher low and this higher high. It's got me very interested in Uber. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit more about Uber's numbers. And the first thing I want to put up on the screen for you, in case you're not familiar, is this description right here of what Uber actually is. A lot of people are confused and they don't really understand what Uber encompasses. And this is one of the reasons I really like Uber, is because it has a lot of legs. It has a lot of tentacles. It's like an octopus floating around the world, gobbling things up and holding on to things. It's got a lot of different arms. So it has a ride segment, and you can see right there segments. The first one is rides, and the rides products is connecting consumers with drivers who provide rides in a variety of schedules. So you can do cars, auto rickshaws, motorbikes, minibuses, or taxis. This is a whole arm of Uber. Now the next thing that Uber gets into is what is called Uber Eats. Now the Eats offering allows consumers to search for and discover local restaurants, order a meal at the touch of a button, and then either pick up at the restaurant or have the meal delivered reliably and quickly to their location. So this is a whole nother arm of it, a whole different division. Then we get into one of my favorites about Uber, the one that's really catching my eye recently, and that's Uber Freight. So Freight connects carriers with shippers on our platform, and it gives carriers up front transparent pricing and the ability to book a shipment with the touch of a button. So that's a whole thing that a lot of people aren't aware of, because you're ordering a ride on your phone or picking up a sandwich on Uber Eats. You're not aware of Freight, what's happening there, how shippers can come in and get transparent pricing and then just book shipments with the touch of a button. It's very, very interesting what they've got going on. And I've got some other numbers to show you that will show you the growth, and it's been very, very positive. Then they have a section called Other Bets, and this is multiple investment stage offerings. The largest investment within this segment is their new mobility offering that refers to products that provide consumers with access to rides through a variety of modes. And this is where they're getting into dockless e-bikes and e-scooters, and also includes transit, which is UberWorks and their incubator group. So it's a whole different area that they just call Other Bets. So they have 5 segments: rides, eats, freight, other bets, and then this last one is ATG and other technology programs. So ATG and other technology programs segment, it's responsible for the development and commercialization of autonomous vehicle and ride-sharing technologies, as well as Uber Elevate. So also very interesting, because as we transition to driverless autonomous vehicles, this segment I think has potential to be very, very big for Uber, because they're R&Ding it, they're diving in, they're knee deep in this, they want to make it happen. And I really think the reality of society is that we are going to get to a point where there are going to be autonomous cars. People are going to be taking rides in vehicles that have no people, there's no driver. There's going to be a portion, maybe not all, but there's going to be a portion of transit that is driverless. And Uber's already talking about it and trying to make it work. So this is the 5 segments. Now with this, I want to dive into some other things. I want to get into talking about some more specific numbers and why Uber looks really good in terms of Uber Eats and in terms of Uber Freight. So let me pop this up on the screen. So real quick, just at a glance, I want to show you this one right here. So this is 3 months ending September 30th, and this is adjusted net revenue, or you might hear them refer to it as A&R. You can see for rides, 2018 to 2019, 23% change. With Uber Eats, we're looking at 105% change, 191 to 392 million. Then you look at freight, 122 million to 218, a 78% growth. So this has been very, very interesting in terms of their adjusted net revenue. So this is net revenue after they're paying bills out of this. This is not gross. This is net revenue, and it's very, very positive. Now, they have had some losses in their technology area, and we can get into that in another video. That's something to take into account. But their main drivers right now, freight, eats, and rides, is actually doing really well. So when people are bearish on Uber, I always think to myself, I wonder if they actually know the numbers on rides, eats, and freight, because the growth has been incredible and they keep expanding and moving into different markets. They're always active. They're always doing something, which gets me very excited as a stockholder. Now, with that, let's jump over to this one. So this one is saying revenue growth accelerated to 30% year over year from 14% in the second quarter of 2019. So that is super positive. Then if we go over to here, gross bookings grew 3.7 billion year over year to $16.5 billion, representing a 29% year over year growth, or 32% on a constant currency basis. Just impressive and incredible. And then we'll end with this one, adjusted net revenue, the A&R. Growth accelerated to 33% year over year, or 35% on a constant currency basis, as both rides and Uber Eats A&R take rates improved quarter over quarter to 22% and 10%, or 22.8 and 10.7%. Respectively. So I'm just super bullish on Uber. I think people were talking a lot about Uber early on, and now it's kind of been something that's been a little dormant and maybe forgotten about, kind of hiding in the shadows. And I think one interesting thing is if Uber gains momentum and if their next earnings on March 3rd are huge, if things go really well, I think it's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. And those who have positioned themselves now, I think could really reap the benefits off a big push back to the upside. So we got to really watch Uber close, because I think this is going to be a growth story for 2020 going into 2021. I'm very, very excited for earnings coming out in March. I'm very curious to see how things are going to be affected concerning the acquisition of Careem. Very excited about that. So hope everybody had a green day, and come over to Facebook and check us out. There's a link down in the description to our free Facebook group. Come on over, check us out. And also on Instagram, you can link to it off the banner of the YouTube channel. You can click Join our Instagram account, follow along. I'm in there dabbling, updating daily, so I'd love to interact with you guys there. Hope all is well, hope you were green, and we'll see you tomorrow.